Hey everyone, I'm hopping on a little bit early here because I want to test out the video, make sure everything's working well, and make sure that I can see everything on my phone in front of me before I start. I'm hopping on a little bit early here because I want to... And let's stop that. There we go. There's a lot of background noise. So if you're here early, hello. We will be starting right at 8, so in just 2 minutes I will actually get this rolling. In the meantime, I'm going to pop this on and see if I can get this to show my full screen. Okay, well, let's test this out. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I gotta swap the... Sorry, you guys, it's been a while since I've used just Google Hangouts for this. So I gotta figure out the best way to do this here. This is what's so hard about switching from a PC to a Mac. I always forget how to like get the stuff to play correctly. Just, it's a pain in the butt. Okay. Yeah, so I guess we're gonna do this. All right. Round 2, let's try this again. Sorry, you guys. It'll be just a second. We're going to start in just a moment here. Let me share my whole screen with you guys, and we'll see if we can get this to pop up. Okay, I guess that'll work. So you guys, I will be able to see the live chat while I'm doing this because I have it up on my phone, but it is going to be a little bit of a lag, so just keep that in mind. There is going to be a Q&A at the end, so throughout this, if you have any questions, just, you can put them in the chat box, but if you can save them till the end, it'll be a little easier than scrolling through and finding them. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. I am going to close some windows. I'm going to warn you guys now, last night was rough. It took hours for me to try to get a stinking video up to YouTube, and I checked this morning and it actually didn't upload correctly. So I'm uploading that in the background right now. So I'm praying that there's not too much of a lag here, but there very well might be. So I do apologize if it's a little bit slow, but yeah. And hi, Amelia. Yeah, you can ask whatever questions at the end, whatever pops into your head. All right, let me screen share with y'all. And can you guys let me know, can you see this okay? Can you hear me okay? I want to just make sure everything's working well before we jump in here. Okay. It's so funny. My phone is like showing all of the comments, but it's not actually showing the video. So that's interesting. But yeah, I can see your comments. So just so you guys know. Okay. So when I took on my first client, I was completely unprepared. I didn't have a contract set up. I had no process planned out whatsoever. And the worst part is that I literally had no plans for how we were going to communicate. This woman probably hated me. I was a mess. So the whole fake it till you make it mantra just doesn't really work when you are working with clients for the first time, whether you're a website designer, a virtual assistant, or even just a blogger working with, making some guest blogs. You need a process in place. And you just need to have one set up as soon as possible, because the sooner you get up a process, the better and more professional your business is going to look in the long run. So today we're going to talk about how to create an organized, consistent system. An organized process will make your clients happy and it'll make you more money. Plus, it's the weekend, so you have a little bit of time, hopefully, to sit down and just work on this for an hour or two and just improve your system and give yourself some relief. So first I want to talk about what we're going to cover today. So I want to talk mostly about communication. How will you talk to your clients? On email, through Asana, through some sort of project management tool? And what kind of rules do you need in place in order to keep things professional? Because nobody needs to search through a 500 long email chain. That's just insane. We're also going to talk about lead forms, which is a way to filter out your ideal clients from people who might not be as good of a fit. And it's super, super easy to set up, you guys. Lead forms are a piece of cake. You can set it up and just put it on your website and then just capture those potential clients without having to do much work. We're also going to talk about templates, because you guys need to stop writing the same email to every single client. Start using canned emails, generic contracts, simple invoice forms, and then you can customize based on the client per client basis. We're also going to talk about invoices, because there's no reason to take credit cards or cash over the phone or, hand over cash. There's so many tools like Stripe, PayPal, Authorize.net, Square, all of those. Payments are so easy and simple as long as you make them easy and simple. We're going to cover a little bit about contracts. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert, but you need a contract, even if you're only doing an hour's worth of work. It protects you, it protects your client, and it makes you much more professional and your business a little more secure. And we're also going to talk about automating your system briefly. You guys know I love 17 hats. I cannot get enough of it, and obviously I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to show you a couple other tools that are good options. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The client process is actually pretty simple, and it's really simple once you get it set up. So some of this might seem a little bit like surface level topics, but the problems that I see most often in small businesses are people trying to overcomplicate this. So we're going to keep things as simple as possible today and just jump right in here. All right, so how you communicate with your clients is so important, you guys. There's a fine line between being comfortable with them and then crossing that kind of space into personal boundaries. By placing some expectations up front and making them clear either on your sales page or in the contract or even in an email, you can avoid having some of those awkward conversations like, please stop calling me, or you send me too many emails, and all those fun things. Okay, so the first thing that you'll want to do is just set up some basic ground rules. It's just a good way to maintain that professional relationship while still being friendly and comfortable. I've had a lot of issues where, I work with someone that I've known for a while or someone that I'm good friends with, but when I start getting calls or texts at like 9 p.m., 1 a.m., asking for information or, with new ideas, that becomes a problem. So I really only have two major rules here. I don't do client work after 5 p.m. After 5 p.m., if you send me an email, I might check it, but I won't respond or act on it until the next day. And then I also only work with one person in a business. I'm a virtual assistant, so I have had times where I start working with someone who has a team of 5 or 10 people, and I have had a lot of issues where I have email chains between 6 different people all asking me the same question. I don't allow that anymore. I only have emails coming from one contact, and other people can be CC'd on the email, but I will not, respond directly to them. We'll just work it out one-on-one. Okay, so I do have some things that I also, like, I never share these with my clients. And this is mostly just to keep some professional boundaries. But keep in mind that everyone can choose different boundaries. You know, you might use Facebook or phone calls as your main way to communicate, and that's perfectly okay. As long as you have rules in place that you keep consistent with your clients. The idea here is just to manage your expectations with them and just keep that relationship as professional as you can. So, for example, I don't share my cell phone number. The only people who have my cell phone number are friends and family who I know in person. None of my clients have ever gotten my phone number from me. I also do not add clients on Facebook as like Facebook friends because my Facebook is mostly for family only. And part of this is because I really don't use Facebook very much. But I have a Facebook page. If someone wants to contact me, they can do it through there. There is only one exception where I've added a client as a Facebook friend, and I didn't even add her until after we had worked together for well over a year, and we had stopped working together when I added her. So keep that in mind too. There are special circumstances for certain people. You know, your client might be your mom, in which case, obviously, she can have your phone number and have you on Facebook. So keep that in mind too. These are rules that are made to be broken in some circumstances. Also, I work very specific hours. Right up front, the first meeting I have with a potential client, I tell them my work hours and I tell them what time zone I'm in. And if they cannot work with me within those hours, we will not work together. Occasionally, I do work on the weekends, but I only work on client work on the weekends either if we have been working together for a while and I trust that they won't expect that of me, every single weekend, and if I know that they won't take advantage of that. So setting up some boundaries and rules like these are just really helpful. They help you avoid awkward conversations, and if you just say them up front, you won't have to deal with them later on. Okay, so let's talk about actually contacting each other. Depending on the client and the project, the tools that you use to communicate with each other are going to be completely up to you. The key here is just to pick one or two of these that you will use consistently with every single client and with your entire team. For my clients, I require that they use Asana as much as possible. That helps cut down on emails, and it also makes it very easy for me to see when I have a task to do. Every once in a while, we'll do an occasional video call. This could be if I need clarification or training on something, or if we have a lot of things to discuss, it'll be more like a meeting. And oftentimes that's just much faster than email or faster than trying to go back and forth in Asana trying to figure that out. I also try to limit emails as much as humanly possible. Most of the times I can work with a client for a couple of months and only send 1 or 2 emails. So that is the goal here. I also don't really use email to communicate because a lot of times as a virtual assistant, the thing that I'm helping people do is set up their email. So if I have no other way to contact them other than email and something goes wrong with their email or they're not getting emails to their phone all of a sudden, or who knows, I need a way to get in touch with them. So that's why having 2 options is ideal. Okay. So let's talk about lead forms and then kind of managing new client leads. So especially in the online space, having a process that you use for new clients just makes things so much easier. All the fax machines and in-person meetings, that's like a thing of the past now. If you're still sending contracts for physical signatures, we are going to step into the future, okay? No offense, but it's time to move up. A good client process will help your new client just feel confident with your company, and it's the first step to a streamlined system. So when you're organized and detailed in your onboarding process, that person knows that they can expect to see more of the same with your work. So this process just makes things easier on you. No more emailing back and forth and trying to pick dates for meetings, rescheduling, canceling, and rescheduling again. Just turning a lead into a client shouldn't be that hard. So let's make it as easy as possible for both sides. Okay, so the first 3 steps here is basic, these are kind of basic steps. Almost everyone will use these basic processes. Depending on, if you're a web designer or virtual assistant, this is pretty simple. So the first 3 steps here are usually the hardest for you and the new client. It usually involves a lot of emailing back and forth, and that's just not the best way to go. So we're going to start with these first 3 steps and figure out how to get new client leads to contact you a little more effectively. So the form itself. Your lead form does not have to be complicated, you guys. My form is built on 17 hats, and I only ask 3 questions on it. Technically 4, but we'll get into that. So the form should ask 1 question that is kind of a read it question. I made up that term, but basically what it means is that you should have 1 question on your form that forces your lead to read through your services page, or at least scan it. For example, I ask my client what service they are interested in, and without at least glancing at my Work With Me page, they won't be able to answer it very accurately because I have specific names for each hourly package. So this helps me know if my lead is the type of person who pays attention to details and thinks about this stuff before signing up, or if they are just kind of interested and maybe want some more info. Adding this simple question has really helped me determine which clients might not be a great fit. Another great question to add to your form is that kind of comment, question space. I looked through all of my lead forms that I have had over the last 3 years, you guys, and I realized that 9 out of every 10 leads who have filled out this part of my form ended up signing a contract. That's because someone who really takes the time to fill this out is usually a little more serious about working with me compared to the only 2 out of 10 people who signed a contract without filling out this section. So all of this stuff just kind of helps me determine which leads to pursue a little more heavily, which people are going to take this a little more serious, and which ones might fall off the wagon. After a new lead fills out this form, they receive an automatic reply from me through 17 hats. So 17 hats automatically replies with a pre-written email and a questionnaire. In my process, most of my clients want to know exactly how I can help them, what I can and can't do, how much I charge. And although most of this info is freely available on my Work With Me page, I like to give my leads a PDF with all of those details just hashed out and organized a little bit nicer. This gives me the chance to learn more about my clients, and it gives them the chance to learn a little bit about me and my services and read through my process if they haven't already. Attached to the email is also a questionnaire. The questionnaire really only takes my clients about 5 to 10 minutes to fill out, but it gives me more details about their business, what they need help with, and kind of how they like to work together. Again, this is just another great way to separate the seriously interested from the kind of curious people. People who really want to work with me typically fill out the questionnaire the same day that they get it, and they also tend to schedule a consultation call that same time as well. Sorry, guys, my nose is still so stuffed up from my cold, so I'm starting to sound a bit nasally. I apologize. Okay, so in my automated email that I send to the new clients is also a calendar link. Personally, I use Calendly, and basically this is just a way for them to schedule a 20-minute meeting with me. Calendly is one of my favorite and simplest ways of scheduling meetings with people. However, there are hundreds of tools out there that can do this for you. Acuity, I think that's how you say it, and Google Calendar are just a couple of alternatives. I've used both of those. They're great. I just prefer Calendly. Once it's time to actually meet with your new lead, the platform that you use is really important. You have to have a good connection, you guys, and it should be simple enough to jump into the meeting that even the least tech-inclined clients can figure it out. Personally, I use appear.in, and I've been using that for over a year now. It's super simple. You just set up an account. It's totally free. It allows screen sharing, and you can lock the meeting room so no one else accidentally hops in. I definitely recommend checking it out if you don't love the current platform that you're using. And another option, of course, is Skype. This is what I typically use with clients, who maybe don't like Appear.in or have a worse connection, mostly because it's easy to record our calls with Ecamm, And many of my clients already have Skype accounts and are just familiar with the platform. But I think it's really great to have, again, 2 options just in case one of them isn't working properly. Okay, so let's talk about templates. Creating templates for yourself will just save you time in the future, but it also helps you stay consistent and on brand while you work with your clients. Templates are the key to automation, which we're going to talk about automation at the end. But pre-writing your contracts, your questionnaires, and your invoices is what saves you a lot of time in the long run. Templates also make it really easy to get client information as quickly as possible without saving or wasting time typing out the same contract and email for every single client. So just start out by writing out your templates in Google Docs or something similar. You don't have to get fancy with them. So these are just a couple of templates that I recommend. If you need to really figure out what kind of templates you need, you should first outline your client process as it is right now. How do they currently contact you? What kind of contracts do they sign? How do they communicate during the project? How do they know how much time you've used up if you go based on hourly rates? And how can they work with you in the future? Start to think about all of the emails that you send back and forth and decide if you can pre-write any of those emails for future clients. So let's take a deeper look at contracts. I know this is a lot of info, by the way. If you are part of the Conrad Hub, you'll be able to download these slides and rewatch this workshop as many times as you want. You can go to noraconrad.com for more info if you aren't a member and you're interested in that. But otherwise, this will be taken down after today, so keep that in mind. All right, so contracts are what keep you safe when you're working with online companies. If you fail to meet your deadline or your client fails to pay an invoice, your contract covers both of you. Contract templates can be found with a super simple Google search, but keep in mind that those items there are some items that should always be covered in your contract, and these are just some of them. Again, not a lawyer, not a professional with this, but I have kind of refined my contract and refined this list over the years based on what I have had issues with or what, problems I've run into. So first of all, I always put my hours of work in my contract. When I am working, when we can do meetings, and what time zone I'm in. So many people forget to put the time zone in their contracts. That's important, you guys, especially online. Everyone is in different time zones now. You need to put that in there. Meetings and expected forms of communication. This is basically saying, are you going to meet once a week? Do you have daily meetings? Do you meet only, once a year? You need to kind of write out those expectations here. And this is also a great place to put some of those rules and boundaries in that we talked about earlier. Also, payment information. How will they pay you? When is the invoice due? What happens if they don't pay you? Are things due up front or later? We're going to talk about payment info in just a few minutes, but I really, 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 really recommend that you require payment up front, and I'll talk about why in just a few minutes. Non-disclosure agreements, you can find examples of these on Google. Basically, this promises that you aren't going to sell your clients' information. That's a good thing to have in there. It makes your clients feel safe, and it keeps you from selling their information. Terms and termination. So how long is your contract valid? This is so important, you guys. I've had people, just kind of ghost me. They pay for my services, and then I never hear from them again. I email them, I call them, I get in contact in every possible way that I can, and it's like they fell off the face of the earth. This is so important to have in there because you don't want them to come back a year later and either ask for a refund or expect work from you. So throw something like that in there. Make sure you are covered for those kinds of things. Also, keep in mind that if you do not offer refunds, you need to put that in your contract as well. Relationships of the parties. You need to state that you are not an employee, but a contract worker. This is really important for taxes. If you need help with that, I'd recommend contacting an accountant or a lawyer to help you write that part. They need to understand that you're not an employee, and you need to know how to charge them and do the taxes for that. So there's a couple other things, but most importantly, the contract should be signed by both you and your client. Signed by both of you. Okay, so quickly, let's go over a couple of canned emails that you might want to have. Obviously, these will vary for every kind of business. If you're a web designer, you might have an email writing out your prices, or an email for when you send a logo proof. If you are a coach, you might have motivational emails that you have ready for people. So these are just 5 that I think you would probably get good use out of whatever business you're in. When a client misses a meeting, how do you handle that? Do you reschedule? Do they just miss it and they have to figure out another time to do it? When a lead emails you for more info, what will your reply be? This is where I automated my portion with an automatic reply through 17 Hats. If a client is late paying you, how do you handle that? Do you charge them extra? Do you let them know? How does that work? And when you have to reschedule a meeting, maybe something came up in your life, how do you reply to people? How do you apologize? And then if you're waiting on something from the client, so waiting for a reply, waiting for tasks, waiting for design approval, how will you remind them of that kind of stuff? And you guys, writing canned emails is kind of a pain in the butt. It takes a while. It's not the most fun thing to do. But when you need to respond to someone in a tough situation, it is so nice to have a pre-written email that you know you wrote when you weren't emotional about the situation. You know, if someone doesn't pay you, obviously going to be angry. The email can come out really rude or, you know, a little harsh. So it's good to have these kind of things written out ahead of time while your emotions are just neutral and when you are thinking clearly about those kinds of things. It's also nice because you don't have to sit down and write an email when you're angry. It's just a couple clicks of a button to copy and paste it into your email. Okay, so this section is going to be really fast because I only have one major piece of advice for you here, and that is to charge your clients up front. And I know there are exceptions to every rule, you guys. You might be a designer who charges $5,000 per project, and charging upfront is just, you think, impossible. No one's going to pay that. But they will, if you require it. You guys, people pay upfront for everything. When you go to the grocery store, you don't sit down and eat a meal before you pay for it. You pay for all of your groceries up front, and then you eat it over the next week. That's the same for when you buy a car, for when you stay in a hotel. Everything that you do, you're paying up front for. And obviously there are exceptions, like I said, but people are used to paying for things up front. You can offer payment plans if you want to, if you have a really large project or something that's really expensive. But I still caution against it, especially if your projects are less than $1,000. If someone can't afford to pay you up front, they might not be a great fit anyway, or maybe you're overcharging, maybe you're undercharging. The point here is that if you charge someone up front, it takes away so much risk for you. And I know it does put risk on the client, but I'll talk about that in just a second. But what that does is it eliminates so many issues. It eliminates the ideal, or, you know, the terrible situation of them not paying you, or you having to charge them extra and them paying you extra, which sucks too. It takes away so much of that issue that I really just recommend that you charge people up front for your services. Okay, so let's talk about how to actually invoice people, because invoicing is a pain in the butt at times if you don't have a good system in place. It's so easy to create invoices within 17 Hats that this one is number 1 on my list. You can offer payment schedules, charge for tax, you can create due dates, build recurring payments, and edit every single line of your services or product fees. Personally, I don't even use templates for invoicing in my 17 Hats account because 17 Hats can auto-generate an invoice for me based on what my client chose in the quote I sent them. So I have templates for quotes, but not invoices. All of my quotes have a choose one option. So whatever services my client chooses is what fills into the invoice. This is a really easy workaround if you don't have a ton of services, but you don't want to make a template for every single one of them. You can also add all of your services on one quote template and then delete items that aren't relevant to your client before sending it for them to approve. I do want to say, Wave Accounting, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Square. Those are some of the big ones. I did not put PayPal on here, and there is a reason for that. Personally, I hate PayPal as a business owner. I'm not going to get into a rant here, but basically, PayPal, if there's ever an issue, if your client ever requests their money back, PayPal is going to side with the client. They do not side with businesses, and they handle those instances like crap. So the ability to use Stripe payment processor was really important to me when I was choosing an invoicing system. So please consider that when you're looking for an invoicing tool, because PayPal is just, it's fine. It's good for buying things and friends and family, but I do not think it should be used for your clients. Okay, so let's talk about automation. You guys, I have written so many blog posts on so many videos, talked about 17 hats so often that you guys are probably sick of it. I will link to some of these blog posts and videos that I'm referencing here. So if you want to watch it, you can. But I'm not going to get into too many details here because I've talked about all of it before. So there are 3 tools that are very, very similar, depending on just kind of your own personal preferences. All 3 of these will work really well. 17 Hats, Dubsado, and Printavo. Printavo is more for like proofs, like if you were a t-shirt making company, or if you were making products and someone needed to approve the product. Printavo is built for you. Dubsado and 17 Hats are honestly almost identical. I think 17 Hats was first and Dubsado is a little bit newer. I could be wrong about that, but honestly, they're so similar that you could really choose which one you like more. And then the other tool I recommend that you check out is IFTTT. It's if this, then that. You guys have probably heard of this before. It's a little tool that you could use to automate single actions. So check it out if you haven't. This is a great way to just simplify little things in your business, and you can definitely integrate it into your client process. Okay, so how much should you automate? I know that there is, automation is really popular, but also authentic, real, live is very popular too. So you need to decide how much of this process you want to be automatic. How personalized, how customized do you want this process to be? And keep in mind that the more customized you want it, the less automatic it's going to be. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't expect to have a fully automatic process and not have it customized at the same time. You have to pick one or the other or somewhere in between. So these are the things that I automate for my own business. When a new lead fills out my form, they automatically get an email back with all of the details and a link to schedule a meeting. I also automate my meeting schedules using Calendly. It connects right into my Google Calendar, so my availability is accurate and everything's on there. And people could choose, what day they want to meet with me. Calendly automatically sends them reminders, and if they need to reschedule, it's super easy in Calendly. I also automate sending quotes, contracts, and invoices. I just click a couple of buttons and all of those get sent to my client all at once so they can approve them, sign them, and pay them. And then I also automate a testimonial questionnaire. So when I'm done working with someone, I just close the project in 17 Hats, and that triggers an action to send them a questionnaire. And in that questionnaire, if they want to give me any feedback, if they want to leave a testimonial, they could do all of that. Okay. So automate with delegation. Like I said before, the less you automate, the more you can customize, and vice versa. But one way that you can kind of beat that is with delegation. So you can hire an assistant, a virtual assistant, a new team member, whoever you want to do some of those tasks for you. If you don't want to use an automatic canned email for your clients, that's totally fine. But either you're going to have to send it yourself or you're going to have to hire someone to send it for you. So these are some things that you could easily delegate without too much work or too much stress. So you could hire a virtual assistant very easily and delegate these items to them and have that process be taken off your plate, which is kind of a way to automate your business. All right, that is all I have for you guys today. I'm going to stick around for the next few minutes and answer some questions or, clarify any details for you if you have them. If you have questions for me, now is the time to ask them. Let me hop out of here. Oh, my nose is so stuffy right now, you guys. Can you hear how nasally I sound? It's awful. Let me open up my text here. How do you set up clients in Asana? Okay, so Asana is, honestly, it's a pretty simple tool to begin with. Someone can jump in. Asana, I chose Asana because there are a ton of features in Asana so that you can really use it to a huge extent. You can use so many features in there, but your client doesn't have to. If your client wants to, all they have to do is type in a task and assign it to you. So I make that very clear to people during that first meeting. So during that initial client consultation, when a new lead is interested in working with me, I explain Asana to them in that meeting. Now, just because of the business I'm in, a lot of my clients have already used Asana before, or at least have heard of it. So just getting them familiar with it is the first step. Then what I do is I invite them to a project in there. I create a new team for every client, and I create a template project. So in Asana, you can choose kind of like a, I don't know, they have these templates now. And one of them is for client onboarding or teaching someone how to use Asana. I think it's called Asana training, if I remember right. And basically, I just add that as a project, and then I assign all of those project tasks to the client. That way they have to go through them, learn the basics of Asana, and I can see that they are learning it. Like I said, though, Asana is so simple. Honestly, you don't have to use a template. You could just assign a task to them and say, check off this task, comment on this task, create a task, and that's it. Some people have created, videos for their clients to show them exactly how to do that. I haven't done that yet, partially because I haven't had to. I haven't had any clients that were completely confused by Asana. But like I said, the business that I'm in, these people are pretty tech savvy. Most of them run online businesses, so most of them already know that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Did that answer your question? Let me know if it didn't. Can you do a faith Q&A or a live stream? Yes and no. So part of the reason I haven't done any Bible study live or questions, a live stream about my faith is because I have my business, Nora Conrad, which is based on online business. And then I also create videos for Bible study videos. And it's two totally separate audiences, honestly. And the audience for the Bible study videos is very, very small. So if I did a live stream Q&A just about that, there'd probably be one viewer. I mean, not there's 50 viewers on here now, but it's just a very limited thing. So eventually I will do some, but I don't have any planned in the near future, if that makes sense. But you can always ask me questions on, Facebook, Instagram, on here. So if you have questions, just ask. How is Stripe connected to your account? Okay, so when you create a Stripe account, so you could just go to stripe.com and make an account. 17 Hats can connect directly in there. So if you go into the settings of your 17 Hats, I think it's under the payment options, you just sign in to Stripe from 17 Hats, and that connects the account. It's the same thing with authorize.net and the same thing with PayPal. Stripe does have, do they have something? I think that Stripe has a payment processor where you can just send someone, you know, a link to pay something. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me on it. But Stripe connects to a lot of different stuff. If you look up invoicing with Stripe, like into Google, there's a ton of tools for it, and you can do it, like I said, through Stripe. It just might require some custom coding, which I know is a pain in the butt. If that's not a great option for you, I'd recommend using Square, which is square.com. Those are the little, you know, it plugs into the bottom of your phone and you swipe the card. Everyone has those now, like Etsy and PayPal have them too. But with Square, you can also send online invoices, so you can just send someone a request for payment and they can pay that. So that's another option as well. If you don't love Stripe, or if you're not sure how to do the payment processes through Stripe. And just for the record, I think that Dubsado also connects to Stripe, as well as Printavo. So those are all able to connect. My coffee is still really hot, you guys. This is great. Okay, so I am going to have these slides available for download if you are interested, or if you missed something and just want to look through them. You can just go to noraconrad.com, and under the Conrad Hub link is a link for past workshops. Scroll all the way to the bottom, it will be right there for you. So the only thing on your website to get potential clients is the lead capture form from 17 Hats. Correct. So I have my work with me page. You know what? Let me just show you guys, because I think visually it's a little easier to show. I don't know. I'm a visual person, so it helps me to see things. Let me share my screen with y'all. Okay, so when you're on my website, if someone were to click on Work With Me, that takes them to basically my sales page. This has all the info about me, about the, you know, services. And then I have multiple buttons on here that say Schedule a Consult. When you click on that, it redirects you to my 17 Hats lead form. And this is where they fill it out, and this goes directly into 17 Hats, where I then get an email notification that I have a new client lead. So I just have that link built into here. I have a ton of details on this page. This link, Ready to Work Together, is obviously linking to the same thing. So yeah, that is the only place that they are able to ask or, you know, get information on working with me. Why is this? Oh, there we go. Sorry, my thing wasn't keeping up. I love the Jonah study. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was trying to upload this Bible study last night. I started it at like 3 p.m. and it did not get up until like 10:30 p.m. and it didn't even upload correctly. It was driving me nuts. So I'm working on re-uploading it right now. So if you saw the Jonah Bible study and you were like, that's weird, it just cut off. I know. I'm trying to fix it. When are you releasing the Esther study? It won't be for a while. I have 3 jobs. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I have 3-day jobs. So these take a very long time for me to do. That's why I don't post to YouTube that often. That's why I only do these workshops once a month, because I just don't have the time for it. But I do them as often as I can. So it will be within a month. But ideally, I wish I could do these like every week, but I probably can't. Like, I would have to work on it every single day when I got home from work and not have any time to like work out or do any of my business stuff. And unfortunately, that's just not possible right now. But hopefully in the future, I can, you know, do this more full time, so that way I have time to actually create the videos. Because like I said, this is not a quick thing. It took me like 7 hours to get it up. Yeah, 3 days jobs. That is a lot. Technically, it's not. It's just because I work with so many clients. So I have a main day job. I work Monday through Friday. I am an assistant for another company who I work with just kind of whenever they tell me to do things. And then I have 4 clients right now that I'm working with as a virtual assistant. So I count it as 3-day jobs. But then I also have my own business that I have to like create content for. So that's why I don't post a ton of blog posts or, you know, do these workshops as often as I wish I could. But in the future, that's what I'm working towards, you guys. I want to do this full time. So someday I'll be able to, you know, do workshops every single day. But for the time being, it'll just have to be a little more rare. All right, you guys, that is everything for today. My voice is really starting to, you know, go a little bit. So I'm going to wrap this up. But you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And if you have any questions, or if you watch this later and you have questions, you can always email me, hello@noraconrad.com, or, you know, contact me on social media. And yeah, that's everything. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you all later. Bye.